Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I am constantly coming before you, and I'm trying to invite you to look at life differently, to see life differently, to desire, want, need life differently. And my reason is because there is a type of life that I am personally embrace. It's a life where my needs, my wants, and my desires are met. It is a life where I live in peace and I'm prosperous and free. And I'm joyous and happy, and I have the opportunity to live my dreams. And I have a need to suffer a lack of nothing: food, clothing, shelter, education, health care, transportation, any of those things that exist. And that makes me feel really wonderful about my parent. That makes me feel really, truly wonderful about the power that made it possible for me to be here in this environment, under these conditions, whereby those things that would bring me such pleasure and joy in my life all around me set here for me, just like I'm here. It's here. And then it has it set up in such a way that it would connect me, my having life, with the process of creating that which adds to life by choosing a career and engaging in it, choosing a career that I love and engaging in it, and having engaged in it gives me my greatest joy. That's me, ladies and gentlemen. Just to give you some idea about me, gives me my greatest joy. Now, that is what I see for myself. That is life for me. No pain, no suffering, no lying, no cheating, no stealing, no hatred, no racism, no bigotry, no terror, no killing, no war. That is life for me. Now, I appreciate a God that set up that for me. But another thing that makes me is that as I respect that God for making me and preparing for me as I've just described, I can see that same God doing nothing less for anybody on the face of the earth. So the joy and happiness and thrillness and fulfillment and satisfaction that I just got through articulating in my experience that would produce what I'm calling my life is the same that is held before, as far as I'm concerned, the world before the living God for each and every last one of us, that we might all live what we call my life, our lives. And to me, that is the design from the beginning of time. To me, that is designed from the beginning of time because of what it does, because of the outcome. Now, I also heard that we as human beings were given choice. And the purpose of that choice, my friends, is that we do not have to accept what was just described. And I'm not to say that what I said is exactly the way it is, but to give you some general idea. But the choice says that you can do anything that you want to do, anything that you can imagine, or anything that any of all the totality of the people themselves can imagine. And all of it would produce nothing but pain and suffering, haves and have nots, with utilizing lying and cheating. That's what we call the choice, the other choice. And so, my having evidence that God exists, that allows me to talk to you the way I speak to you, and knowing that most people do not have the evidence of God. And so they have what they call belief. But the belief that they have is absent faith. And the faith is not supporting a reality of something that's valuable. So, what has got to happen, ladies and gentlemen, is that your belief has got to turn to knowledge. And that knowledge is going to come from a combination of those who have been given the evidence. People like myself and so many others. Stop talking alone and start walking. You see what God wants for the human race, as we just mentioned, if you can accept that as an example. What God wants for the human race, we know that there is no pain, no all that other stuff is eliminated. And so what God can be against that? So we who can see have a responsibility and obligation to really expose the darkness, expose the blindness, let the world know that the reason that the world is the way it is because of men who have no idea of what and who God is. And so they themselves claim to be God. And as they describe themselves, as they position themselves and present themselves, it is an indication to the rest of the world as they see God. And they are impressing upon us that we are being required to see God the same way. But the truth of life is that every last one of us have been given that, but not just from some man, from some government formed by man. No, this is in our nature. This is in our DNA. Each of us know what pleases us, and it has nothing to do with really what man does, because man can do what he thinks pleases us, and it does nothing but give us pain and sickness. It's like somebody saying, I love you, and think that's supposed to make love come back in the sense that we speak of love in the world. So what am I saying as I get ready to leave? I'm saying that my whole messages are to you are these. All of the human race, first of all, basically are absent the true knowledge of God. And we all play a part in the evil world that we live in. Now, when I say evil world, I'm including the totality of the places where human beings exist. Different locations are similar to representing different rooms. Different rooms more cluttered than others, but they're all rooms part of a house of hell. And all of us play a role in it. Even those who call ourselves being good. We are being good to the limit, and only to the limit that the powers that be, the other choice, would allow us to pretend that we are serving God. That power, the world knows that the limitations that have been set on those who say they love God does nothing for God. And it breaks the heart of those who don't know anything about God, but looking for those who talk about God to present God in such a way. But the way that those who say they know God is presented is like there is no God. Yet, you got the others who deny God, who are not restricted by anything. They, no book, no rule, nothing holds them back. Lying, cheating, stealing, killing, hating, racism, bigotry, you name it, it's part of their game. While they got other folks pretending and believing. But see, you have to know God, and the ones that know God, be ashamed if you're not glorifying God in your life, so others will know God. And I'm gonna say this: where are you? I've been searching for you. God knows I've been searching for you a long time, and I see nothing. All I get is conversation. And the conversation is good. The conversation is genuine. The conversation says that everybody knows what's going on. The conversation says everybody's really hollering for help. And the conversation also says that everybody's looking for someone else to do it. And it is by looking for someone else that represents the effect that acts, believing that Jesus is coming back someday to fix the problems for us without us fixing our problems ourselves. Us who have spent thousands of years going backwards and forth over and over, experiencing these same problems because we refuse, for whatever our excuse might be, we refuse to fix it. I want to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, America has wanted to say that it was the house on the hill. It wanted to say that it was held up for everybody to look up and see what a better society is like. Well, while the people were looking up, Donald Trump came along and turned the light on America and showed that he is a product of America. And he's a scoundrel, nothing but a scoundrel. He's no good, and the whole world knows he's no good. And all of those who stood against him knows he's no good. They've spoken to the American public, they've spoken to the world, indicating that he's no good. And they had to break down and give in and pretend that he's some good because the people who didn't know him trusted that he might be some good and gave him some support. And he, my friend, is the kind of snake that will cut your throat if you don't lick his boots. And so those who hadn't refused to lick his boots wanted to survive, so they're licking his boots. Why? Because there weren't anybody, the Dr. Kings, the Malcolm X, the Medgar Evers, the white ball people who died and gave their lives to stand up for what was right. They may not exist anymore, but they are needed. They are required. You are needed. You are required. I'm going to end this for now, and I'll be with you again later. Good night.